Hey, what's up guys, the Lone Top 10s here with another awesome video just for you. It is one of our favorite fantasies. What if someone had actually killed Hitler? How different would the world be if someone had just taken out the future VR before he could plunge the world into war and horror? But it's not as if nobody ever tried. More than a few people did their best to take out the leader of the Third Reich, but Hitler, as it turns out, was surprisingly hard to kill. Dozens of people tried to take out Hitler, at least 4 before he became Chancellor, and more than 40 afterward, but nobody ever pulled it off. It's one of the forgotten stories of history, the many plots to take out Hitler. Some are stories of heroism, some of madness, and some are just downright strange. But if any one of them had succeeded, the world would have completely changed. So here are the top 10 failed plots to assassinate Adolf Hitler. First up, number 10. Johanna George Elser missed Hitler by minutes. On November 8, 1938, Hitler came within inches of death. He was scheduled to make a speech at the Munich beer hall, worried about the bad weather, decided to rush out 30 minutes early to try to catch a train back home. And if he hadn't, he would have died that night. Less than 10 minutes after Hitler left the building, a timed explosive in the column behind his podium exploded. It killed 8 people, wounded 60, and undoubtedly would have incinerated the Fuhrer if he had not just snuck out of the building. The bomb had been planted by, like I said, Johann George Elser, a carpenter, a union member, and a communist. He had told a friend a few days before that Germany would never get back on track unless someone brought down Hitler. With him out of the way, Elser believed the communist revolution could begin. Hitler survived, trying to, because of what is tempted to call an act of God, and Elser was caught trying to flee into Switzerland. He was tortured, sent to the Dachau concentration camp, and ultimately killed. The very day after his plot failed was the Kristallnacht, the day Jewish businesses and synagogues across Germany were burnt to the ground. The day, some would say, the Holocaust began. Number 9. Iran's Bovad tried to kill Hitler the very next day. Hitler would have not survived another 24 hours if Maras Bovad had been a better shot. Bovad was a theology student from Switzerland who, whether in a fit of madness or wisdom, convinced himself that Hitler was the Antichrist. Hitler, he believed, was a threat to the Christian faith and to humanity himself, and it was his divine duty to kill him. Now, Bovad packed a pistol and headed into Germany, where he desperately tried to arrange a meeting with the man he planned to murder. When he realized it would fail, he joined a crowd of Nazi supporters watching Hitler parade down the streets of Munich, his pistol hidden in his pocket. When Hitler came his way, though, the crowd threw up their hands and salute like this. Like that. So, blocking Bovad's shot. He only had a few seconds to decide whether he should fire and trust that God would lead bullets safely through the crowd and to his target, or if he should put down his gun and be sure he did not accidentally end an innocent's life, which he would be told to kill for that. Bovad decided not to risk it and ran. Shortly after, on the train ride to France, he was caught using a fake ticket. When the guards looked through his things, they found the gun and map of Hitler's vacation home. For Bovad, it was all over. Bovad was executed by guillotine in May of 1941. "I wanted to cry, but I can't," he wrote to his parents on the day before his death. "I feel my heart would explode." So, that's what he said. Alright, number 8. William Seabrook tried to kill Hitler with voodoo magic, which ain't real now. While the Germans and the Swiss were trying to take out Hitler with guns and explosives, an American writer was taking a slightly different route. He was going to take out Hitler. William Seabrook resolved with black magic. On January 22nd, 1941, Seabrook had gathered a group of friends together in a cabin in Maryland for a quote-unquote hex party. Until the break of dawn, they would drink rum, pound on drums, and try to summon pagan gods to take out the leader of Germany. They dressed a dummy up in a Nazi uniform, chanted, "You are Hitler. Hitler is you." Then Seabrook led his followers to call the pagan deity Istan to transmit the dummy's wounds to Hitler while they spat at it. "We curse you." With the pounding drums around them, the drunken oculist hammered nails into the dummy's heart. Then Seabrook chopped his head with an axe and buried it deep into the woods, leaving it for the worms to devour. Hitler somehow survived this attempt on his life. Historians remain at a loss to explain how this plan could have failed, because sometimes it could have worked. Alright, number 7, the first attempt on Hitler's life. By then, people had already been trying to kill Hitler for at least 20 years. That was when the first confirmed attempt on his life happened, November 1921, long before Hitler took control of Germany. He had been speaking at the Munich Beer Hall, addressing a massive audience of hundreds about the glory of National Socialism. His crowd, though, was not entirely supportive. More than 300 people there were bitter opponents on the opposite ends of the political spectrum, and while they listened to Hitler expose ideas that went against everything they believed in, they were again blindingly drunk. One line set them off, and a mob of people started hurling beer steins at the stage. Hitler supporters struck back, and soon the place had erupted into a full riot. Chairs were flying through the air, lead pipes and brass knuckles were in people's hands, and the place was getting very bloody. Hitler's guards started forcing the troublemakers out, but in the chaos, somebody pulled out a gun and opened fire on Hitler. That could have been the end of the Nazi Party, but he missed. Hitler was unfazed. He didn't run for cover. In fact, according to some accounts, he even pulled out a gun of his own and shot back. Then he went on with his speech, talking for another 20 minutes, even while his audience were beating each other bloody and trying to kill him. So, it's just brutal. Number 6, Operation Flash. Not every German was happy when Hitler came to power. As the Nazis started erasing their political opponents and massacring Jews, General Henning von Treschow vowed to put an end to the Nazi Party. He helped start the German resistance and promised he would stop at nothing to take out Adolf Hitler. He got his chance on March 13, 1943. Hitler was flying home from Venice in the Soviet Union back into Germany, and on his way home, he would have a layover in Smolensk, which is also in the Soviet Union. There, Treschow would have his opportunity to strike. He handed one of the officers flying with Hitler a bottle of very expensive brandy, pretending it was a gift to the Nazi officials in Berlin. Inside the bottle, though, Treschow had hidden a bomb set with a 30-minute fuse. The officer fell for it and put the explosive bottle in the plane, and Treschow watched them take off. He wanted to see Hitler explode in the sky. The bomb didn't go off, though. Anyway, the luggage compartment it was stored in was too cold. The explosives failed to ignite. Hitler made it safely home, unaware his life was even ever in danger. And the frantic Treschow had to start calling people in Berlin, begging them to sneak the bottle out before anyone had found it. So, number 5. Rudolf van Gersdorf got the bomb within inches of Hitler. Now, Treschow did not give up. Shortly after, he devised another plot to take out Hitler. Someone would have to be willing to sacrifice their own life to make it work. Nazi General Rudolf Christoph Verheer von Gersdorf volunteered. He was ready to die if it meant a world without Hitler. Hitler was scheduled to be in Berlin opening an exhibition of captured Russian equipment on March 15, 1943, and Goering and Himmler would be with him. If Gersdorf could get close enough to them to set off a bomb, he would take out the 3 most powerful men of the Nazi Party in just one blast. Gersdorf packed his coat pockets with explosives ready to explode 10 minutes after he set the fuse and went to the exhibition. Struggling to look calm while he waited for his target to run, Hitler, though, was hours late, and Gersdorf was forced to stand around a crowd of Nazis with the bombs in his pocket. When Hitler showed up, though, a speaker announced he only had 8 minutes to spend on the tour. That meant if Gersdorf started his 10-minute timer, his bomb would not go off until Hitler had left. He would blow himself up in an audience of speculators, but the Fuhrer would walk free. It wasn't worth the risk, though. Gersdorf had to stand, smile, and watch Adolf Hitler breeze through the expedition. and then get out before anyone noticed what he had hidden in his coat. That's nice. Well, good job. I mean, you certainly failed, Mr. Rudolph. You certainly failed. Number 4. The Oster Conspiracy. In 1938, Hans Oster, head of Germany's military intelligence office, planned to not only take out Hitler, but to overthrow the entire Nazi party. Hitler had demanded control of Czechoslovakia, and Oster was sure his threats would pull Germany into a world war. He was going to try to stop it. He planned a coup d'etat with a team of 60 officers. Oster was going to take Germany from the Nazi party. He would arrest Hitler and, one way or another, get rid of him. Some wanted to execute him, some wanted to declare him mentally ill, and Oster himself wanted to gun him down and pretend he was resisting arrest. But everyone agreed that Hitler would have to go. The coup d'etat never happened. To everyone's surprise, the Munich Agreement let Germany annex Czechoslovakia without firing a single shot, and the World War Oster had feared did not happen. The conspirators fell apart. Believing the crisis was over, and the time the war had really started, they were too fractured to do anything to stop it. Alright, number 3. The British snuck estrogen into Hitler's food. Ugh. Not every assassination plan ended with Hitler dead. Some were just character assassinations, but they were every bit as sensational as the plots to kill him. Like, for example, the British plot to fed Hitler estrogen. Hitler's sister was a mild-mannered secretary, and the British were convinced that if Hitler got in touch with his female side, he would become as docile as she was. They had spies on hand who could get access to his food, and while they were not sure they would get poisoned past his food testers, they were pretty sure they could get estrogen supplements into his diet. This wasn't just a harebrained plan, they actually did it. The British bribed a gardener to inject estrogen into his carrots, and he agreed to do it. The plot to feminize Hitler went into motion, but it is not entirely clear how it all ended. But it does not seem to have worked. Perhaps the food testers spotted the estrogen-laced carrots, or maybe the gardener sold the spies out, or who knows, maybe the plan worked, and the Nazi invasion of Russia was all just a very confused man struggling with the rush of new hormones that came with transitioning into womanhood. That's nice. Turn Hitler into a lady. I'm pretty sure what would sound like. Number 2. The July 20th Plot. On July 20th, 1944, Countess Stauffenberg came into the closest anyone would be to killing Hitler. He had the chance to step into the Wolf's Lair, the top-secret conference room where Hitler conspired with his most trusted men, and he was going to use that chance to bring the Second World War to an early end. He brought a briefcase full of explosives with him and snuck off into a room to set the fuses. He only managed to light one, though, before a guard knocked on the door and told him that Hitler was waiting for him. Stauffenberg had to head in with only one bomb triggered to blow, and hope it was enough to take out Hitler. He headed to the conference room with his briefcase bomb and slid under the conference table, trying to push as close to Hitler as he could. Then he excused himself, stepped out, and waited for the explosion. The bomb went off and blown the room to pieces. 4 people only died though, but with only one fuse lit, was not strong enough to finish off Hitler. The Fuhrer got out with only a few injuries, and Stauffenberg was caught and killed by gun. Number 1. Operation Foxglove. The British had all kinds of plots to kill Hitler. First they planned to bomb Hitler's train, and then later to poison his war supply. But they could not get any of them to work, though. That changed, though, in 1944, when they captured one of Hitler's personal guards. They interrogated him and found out that he worked at Hitler's mountain retreat in the Bavarian Alps, and he was willing to tell them what they needed to know to take him out. When Hitler was at his retreat, the guard told him that Nazi flag was hoisted over the building. Every day at 10 a.m., he would take a solitary walk to a nearby tea house. For about 20 minutes, he would be unguarded and alone, walking down a path by a forest where a sniper could easily be hidden. The British had everything in place to do it. They had a marksman ready and an inside man who was willing to help him get in, and the plan would probably have worked. However, Ronald Thorney managed to convince them that they were better off leaving Hitler alive. Killing him would make him a martyr, keeping the ideas of Nazism alive. And yeah, the Allies were actually better off with Hitler alive than dead. Alright guys, that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.